Episode 107, Growth Mindset versus Fixed Mindset.
You're listening to the very best podcast in the world on health, wealth, and happiness. Please remember to leave a review and share with all your friends and family. And here is your host, Lars Hilser.
And there we are at episode 107 of the very best podcast in the world, your only source in the universe for personal supremacy through health, wealth, and happiness. Yeah, what are we going to be discussing today? I came across an interesting thought, which was my personal credo, go big or go home. I learned this when living in the United States, and from this exposure to the Anglo-perverted version of capitalism, this mantra stuck. It's really very interesting how being exposed to a different culture, particularly in your teenage years, can alter really your entire being. And this happened to me as well, and left me with a growth mindset, as opposed of a lot of my friends and sandbox buddies who, went into normal careers and jobs, kind of got stuck there, did the, build a house, plant a tree, get the kids, have a family, work until you're retired, and then, enjoy a year or 10 of your, hard-earned pension, and then die. And while there is nothing in the world to criticize about this, it's a life's choice. But my exposure to this different culture, to this really essentially totally different culture, kind of led me away from this mindset. Now, some of my friends went down the entrepreneurial route, but never with the intention to grow. It was like this presumed freedom, I don't have a boss, but still I have to get up at 7 a.m. because my clients are waiting for me, and I have to unlock the door. And, I'm not going to open up a second shop because that would mean too much stress and yada, yada, yada. All of the go out of jail cards better than I do, probably. And this is why in today's episode, I wanted to name a few examples and put into context the difference between the thinking of someone with a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. Again, and I can't stress this enough, if you're satisfied in your 9-to-5 situation, don't fucking alter it. Don't. Ever. If you're good, you're good. There is no reason, if you don't see a reason, there is no reason to alter it. Period. Don't let anyone try to convince you otherwise. There is no get-rich-quick scheme. It just doesn't fucking exist, period. And if some of these motivational gurus come along and say you could be making $1,000 a day as a side hustle, kick them out, kick them in the ass, beat their teeth out, and break all of their fingers so that they can never use a keyboard again to type their misleading bullshit. That being said, as a disclaimer, a pretty aggressive disclaimer. let's get started, shall we? Now, the person with a growth mindset versus the person with a fixed mindset. The person with a growth mindset is going to embrace challenges, right? That's important to understand. The person with a fixed mindset is going to shy away from them. This doesn't go to say that, if you come across a challenge that there is a shortcut for, of course you're going to use the fucking shortcut. No questions asked. But just don't shy away from the challenge just because it's a challenge. That's the fixed mindset people. Another thing to really take into consideration, and which differentiates the growth from the fixed, is the growth mindset oriented person is going to learn from feedback and criticism. And the fixed mindset is going to ignore it grossly and probably will, or there's a real chance that they will go ballistic, because their core argument is going to be, well, we've always done it this way and it's always worked, right? And criticism doesn't have to necessarily be negative, even though it has a negative connotation to it. But it's something that can have a very positive effect. I'm going to go into this in more detail in a coming episode, either this or next week. So keep that in the back of your head. But that's another very important aspect on how people deal with criticism, which differentiates the growth from the fixed mindset. Now, growth mindset oriented people will consider intelligence and talent as something that can be developed. And nothing is more true, because from all of the stuff that I have done in my life, I have really developed all of it. I've developed my leadership skills myself. I've developed my skills in information technology myself. I've developed my skills in cybersecurity myself. Pretty much anything I've done in my life, I have developed and improved myself. And your fixed mindset people will say that intelligence and talent are fixed, so that you're basically born with them, with these attributes. And while it may be true that you have a tendency towards one thing and not so much of a tendency for the other, both of them are definitely learnable. It's just that the effort is going to be higher for something that you don't have a natural gift to, right? So anything that, well, let's go into that in another episode, because that would actually kill this one. I think that's worthwhile. Important to take away is that not only me, but a lot of people around me are really the living proof that, talent and intelligence can be learned. Well, talents can be, learned, and intelligence can be improved with, just regularly using your brain, as opposed to frying it in front of the television, right? Next is more effort versus less effort. And that's a bit of a jiffy, because I don't know who it was. One of these, billionaire go-to guys said that they would always hire the lazy person because they would always find shortcuts to get to the same goal. And that's true. That's something to look forward to. But it doesn't, the growth mindset is going to go, well, yeah, okay, give me something and I'll really put some effort into it. And, the fixed mindset person will go, never mind. It's too much effort, right? So they're only going to go for the low-hanging fruit. The growth mindset person, in another example, will keep on trying and never give up. as opposed to the fixed mindset person who's going to take on a challenge and then somewhere along the way determine that it's too difficult to continue and then just quit. And that's not how the world works, right? It's like, yeah, I could put up countless examples, but we've got a long way to go, and I don't want to break the 20 minutes here. We'll do dedicated episodes to that because they're really funny examples of how those things actually play out. Another thing is where the growth mindset people, crowd, whatever stand out is persistence in the face of setbacks, right? It's like you get taught this kind of mindset in different cultures. So I went into this in a lot of detail in another episode, but just as a quick one. So for me, as someone who's grown up in both the United States and Germany, a big differentiator is if in the United States you start a company and you go bankrupt, and you go to the bank again because you want to start another company, they're going to give you a loan because you failed, you learned your lessons, so you're not going to repeat those mistakes, right? In Germany, on the other hand, it's like you fail with your first company and you're going to go back to the bank to get a loan and they're going to say, nah, you failed, so we're not going to give you another loan because there's a high likelihood you're going to fail again. Now, which of those which of those mindsets is going to be more productive for the economy? It's going to be that in the United States where, you're going to give another chance. At the end of the day, you're a fucking bank. You're going to get your money anyhow, right? So let's talk about it. So, you're going to send the really devious debt collectors and you're going to get your money back. So what's the risk at the end of the day, right? The risk is that you're going to motivate someone to start over, while on the other hand, you're demotivating someone to not try again. And that's really the difficulty in growing up in only one culture. And if your culture is that of a, fairly negative mindset, like the German one, you're going to be taught that you are a failure. And, at the end of the day, it's like you can put a bullet in your head because you failed, right? But people have a learning curve and they tend not to make the same mistake more often than absolutely fucking necessary. Now, there are those who take a bit longer, to get their mistakes. But, normally 1 or 2 tries, if it's really painful, they're going to be in a mindset where they're actually not going to go away. Sorry, that was the spring of my microphone arm. The next thing is the differentiation in how other people's success is, acknowledged or viewed. Let's put it that way, because that's very neutral. So while the growth mindset people are going to be inspired by the success of others, the fixed mindset people are going to feel threatened. Let's look at this in a corporate environment, right? Somebody gets a job well done, right? Because they were good at it. They, cut a few corners. They were very successful. They delivered before the deadline, yada, yada, yada. So the growth mindset person is going to go like, man, I got to talk to this dude because they cut some really good corners and I need to learn how to do that because I want to excel and I want to make my life easier. While the fixed mindset person is going to be like, holy shit, that person is better than me. I need to pay attention that my seat, that my chair and my desk are going to be here tomorrow when I come to work. And that's something which is debatable. I'm going to go into debate club with this simply because both people, depending on their life's situation, are going to be right in their own way, right? So, let's leave it at that. It's just a thing I noticed along the way, and so I just wanted to mention it. Now, quick side note and a shameless self-promotion. Growth mindset versus fixed mindset. Who do you know who could actually take advantage of this episode? Please share it with them. Subscribe to the podcast if you haven't, and visit www.theverybestpodcastintheworld to learn more about our social media and so on and so forth. So you can subscribe to that if that's your preference of reaching out. Maybe that's another thing. If you want to reach out, please preferably email theverybestpodcastintheworld@gmail.com. End of shameless self-promotion. So let's get up to the next one. The self-reflected thing that growth versus fixed mindset people have is the growth mindset oriented people will be like, I will learn from failure. That's what we had with the, entrepreneurship in the US versus Germany, right? I failed. I'm going to analyze my failure, and I'm going to make pretty goddamn fucking sure that I'm not going to do it again. Period. While in the fixed mindset person, this thought will start to manifest that they will always fail. So why should they even start? And that's important, to keep you motivated and to keep you positive is always to, if something goes wrong, smile, analyze the situation, and then move on. It's like, try to avoid that mistake in the future. If you're going to do it again, goddammit, it'll happen. But just don't let yourself go down this devious spiral of self-doubt and say, I'm going to, I've failed at this, I'm going to fail at everything. Because if you're mentally not strong enough to resist external input and criticism, and, it's not even criticism, right? The banks and the money lenders and whatever are going to be so they're going to be too chicken to tell you that they're not going to loan you money because, right? They're not even going to have a personal conversation with you. They're going to send you out of the office. You're ever going to think about it. They're going to send you a letter without, naming why they are denying your request for a loan, despite the fact that you've delivered a business plan in which you may even have stated, hey, I fucked up my first company and this and this is what I'm going to do better, right? And so they're even too much of a coward to actually say, okay, we're not going to lend you money because we think we're not going to get it back, because we think you're an idiot, because we think that you are incapable of learning from your mistakes, right? And without this feedback, it's like much more difficult and much more logical to go down this negative route. But that's, again, something for another episode because we're almost at 20 minutes. So, difference in the view on work and work ethic. Now, the growth mindset person is going to go like, this will take time and hard fucking work to get done and to get it on the road, right? Because let's look at the growth mindset versus fixed mindset personality. Now, the growth mindset, the fixed mindset, let's go with them first. They've got their 9 to 5. They've got their hobby, whatever it may be. And then they've got, 4 to 5 hours a day of TV time where they fry their brain. While the growth mindset person has that situation minus the TV time. But they're going to use the TV time and all other available time to start a side hustle. It's very difficult to get from 0 to 100. So you got to be at 50, which, is your 9 to 5, which, earns you a decent income, but you don't have to invest too much work. You can survive on it, and maybe you can take a vacation, but you're aspiring for more. And that's when this time that the fixed mindset person uses to watch the television and to talk shit at the pub and, that kind of ordeal, where this is all cut out of the growth mindset person, right? They're going to use that time to start their side hustle, to educate themselves, to, that kind of thing. So the growth mindset person is always going to be like, this will take time and hard work to achieve, or they're going to think about how they're going to cut corners, right? That's another important thing. Don't say you got it from me. And while the fixed mindset person is going to be like, I'm fine. I'm good. I will never improve because my life was chosen for me. I've got my job. I've got, that kind of thing. And again, as I mentioned in the beginning, this is not something to criticize. It's a choice that people make. So, if you've got somebody in your surrounding that's like, I'm satisfied with a 9 to 5, let them be. It's okay. Period. No questions asked. And if it's a good friend, it is on you to accept that, to not try and change them. If you aspire and excel in life and they're going to be jelly because you're, driving a big car and whatever, yeah, it's okay, but instead of watching the TV, I worked my ass off, on the weekend, instead of, I don't know, doing, I don't know, whatever, laying in the sun all weekend with a bottle of beer, I was out hustling, right? And that's the difference. That's the very big difference. Last but not least, and to conclude, we broke the 20 minutes. Sorry. It's about learning. And the growth mindset person will say, I want to keep learning constantly, and I need the new challenges constantly. While the fixed mindset person is going to be like, why should I bother? Again, this is on the situation or based on their life's situation, that they're going to be satisfied. They're not going to be hungry. They're good with what they have. And that's it. Again, nothing negative. It's a life's choice. If for you, working hard and, not just getting by is more important, use your time wisely. If you are the person that wants to educate themselves, use the time. But for God's sakes, it's up to you. It's your life choice. But, again, I think that will conclude the episode. And I hope I got the point across in the difference between growth mindset versus fixed mindset. And it got totally out of control. I anticipated 10 minutes. We're now at 22. But that's just how things fucking happen. So in that sense, if you've got a fixed mindset person and they want to change, share this episode with them. If you've got a growth mindset person that, could use another kick in the nads, share this episode. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast, shame on you. Seriously though, subscribe. Go to www.theverybestpodcastintheworld.com, and below every post there should be links to your favorite podcast subscription platform. I think we're on pretty much all of them. And have a successful day. If you already have had your successful day, have a good night. Leaving your hands above the blanket. Man, I haven't mentioned that one in a long time. And we're going to see you tomorrow when we're going to talk about, I haven't really prioritized that. See you soon. Peace out and stay safe.